What keeps me going, honestly, as cheesy it is, I love what I do. So anyone who's out there who works on something they love, whatever it is, whether it's music or making films or painting, writing a book even, hours go by, you don't notice they go by. So that's what my life is like every day. I wake up and before I know it, the day is gone and there's a dozen projects that I was supposed to get to, but I didn't get to them, and friends have called and I haven't picked up the phone because I've just been sitting there making music, recording and mixing and writing all day long. I'm Vikas Kohli of Fat Labs, and I work in my studio with artists and filmmakers from around the world, both emerging artists that you can find on the local scene and international artists that are signed to major labels, and same with the filmmakers, all levels. And I love what I do because I get to make music all day long and rock out with really cool people. Getting into music was probably just something inevitable. I guess everyone loves music, and if you don't, you're probably some sort of sociopath. But I guess I like music so much that I decided that it was something I really wanted to do. And so I just took it one step further than most people who just buy albums and listen to them at home. I think it sort of started growing up listening to my mom. She's a singer. She'd always sing around the house. And then growing up listening to Bollywood music and things like that. Moving on in Canada, also being exposed to all the rock and roll and pop music on the radio, really sort of opened my eyes to all the different styles of music that there are. And eventually I started writing music and playing in bands until I got to the point where other musician friends of mine asked me to produce their stuff. And eventually that led to people I don't know asking me, so then it became my full-time job, and that's where I am now today. Because I wanted to skip out on my grade 6 French class because they were holding music auditions in the library at the same time. So I said, yeah, screw that. Who needs French anyway? And I went to the auditions, and then I accidentally ended up enrolling the program. Then a couple years later, I found a guitar that no one was using, started learning how to play it, ended up playing in a bunch of rock bands. Before I was legally allowed to play in the bars, I was on the stage, or be in the bars, I was playing on the stage. And then fell in love with recording after we recorded our first albums as a band, and now I just produce full-time, and I write with artists in all types of genres, everything from pop to Bollywood tunes to producing metal bands and punk bands, folk artists, jazz artists, the whole deal. So now it's pretty cool. So skipping French class is good for you. That's what I highly recommend it to everyone out there. Steps to take. I guess the first and most important step is you got to have good songs. If you don't have good songs, there's no point in releasing anything. Don't go into the studio until you have those songs. I do sit with artists and co-write with a lot of the artists. Some of them I compose for, but some artists do have their own material. And so write a ton of stuff, select your best stuff, and then the next thing is get in the studio and record it, because if you don't record it, you can't really release it. So at the same time, be gigging. And really the step 2 part is really just work. You gotta work towards making it a 40-hour-a-week type of job if you really want to be serious in the industry. And then I guess the third piece of advice I'd have is find good people, whether it's the musicians in your band or the producer you're going to work with, whoever takes care of your management, your PR, whoever it is that you have around you, make sure they're good people that you can trust. Because if you can trust the people you're with and you like working with them, then you'll be able to do those 40-hour weeks and write good songs and record them, and everything will just roll a lot much smoother. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of artists that I'm really proud to have worked with, both emerging artists that no one knew of before and artists that are more established. With the emerging artists, what was really cool was getting them, helping them get to the point where they, had maybe some recordings or even no recordings, to the point where we could actually get their tracks on an album, and then, recognized at either industry awards or radio play across Canada. There's one band in particular, they're Sponsibles. I actually remember hearing some of their material and calling them up and saying, hey, I like what you guys are doing. I think I can give you guys a hand if you're willing to come down and work with me. And they came down, we tried working together, it turned out well. We've done 3 discs now together, and each one has gotten better and better in terms of industry recognition and radio play. The last one broke the top 20 across Canada and was nominated for Punk Recording of the Year, so that's really cool. And there's a whole bunch of other artists. I shouldn't really pick favorites, but there's another artist by the name of Jason. We did a rock album together, and it was really cool because we just gelled musically really well, so I got to play the majority of the instruments on the album, as well as bring these great musicians on board to play the stuff that I couldn't play. And overall, it was just really creative album, really cutting edge rock electronic sound. That was cool. And he's an emerging artist as well. And then, of course, there's the major label artists that I get to work with who, probably don't need any more PR. But it is nice that after you do work with local artists and it reaches the level where international artists do hear it, and then they call you and they come down, and that's always that's pretty humbling, but it's a good affirmation that hopefully I am doing good work down here. If I wasn't a musician, I would probably be a professor of math at a university, because when it comes down to it, I'm still a nerd. The books I'm reading right now, I'm reading The History of E = MC squared, and I also have just bought a couple of books on chaos theory, which is my latest obsession. And by latest, I mean about 15 years obsession reading about chaos theory. Yeah, and my favorite courses in school were philosophy of math and introduction to mathematical logic. So yeah, I'd be a nerd. I'd have thicker glasses, pocket protector if I had a pocket on this shirt, and but I'd probably still be surrounded by awesomely hot chicks. In 10 years, we'll most likely be dominated by a combination of heavy metal bands and Bollywood dance routines, because those are the most extreme forms of entertainment, and they will take over. I guarantee it. Tommy Lee and Aishwarya Rai will get married and have millions of offspring taking over the world. I'm always working on a bunch of projects. Right now, I'm working with a few different singers, both international singers that are singing Hindi or Punjabi, and English singers and a Portuguese singer. I've been a Rwandan artist as well. And those albums are all in the works right now. And there's a couple of film projects that are in the works. I've got another song coming out in a Bollywood production, major motion production later in 2010. So yeah, between the album projects and the film projects, the film soundtracks, I should say, things are still pretty busy here.